Almost every time a founder says, I don't know, I want to lean into that founder. That's a person with the confidence to keep iterating. That's the person with the confidence to come out of a cul-de-sac 2 years from now when they realize that their business is only mediocre. Someone who says, I don't know, and then takes a note to go check into that, or just starts their answer with, I don't know, but here's how I would think about it. That's the type of person you can have a relationship with. That's the type of person who's going to be honest and authentic with their employees and build a culture that's going to build something massive. I think, one of the most annoying things in meeting with founders is they're just there to get your money. And what they should be there for is to get your insight if you have any. And number two, they're like shark skin. You ever run your hand on shark skin? If you rub your hand one way, it's nice and smooth. If you rub it the other way, it's like sandpaper. It kind of cuts your hand almost. And talking to the founders, you're only saying, well, how's your gut of business? Oh, it's going to do great. Oh, you're growing fast? Oh, we're growing so fast. Well, what are the challenges? Well, I don't see any problem. I just need the money. That's as I think about it, all I need is the money, and then I'd be fine. That's my only problem is fundraising. It's just not true. It's never true. If you think it's true, then you don't know your business. If you think it's true, then you don't know yourself or your employees or your customers. So I hate the shark skin. I want to have a real dialogue with the founders. I was a founder myself for 20 plus years. I know what it's like. Just talk to me about it. Be that confident person who knows how to run a company, who knows they don't know. I'm a venture guy for 10 years. I don't know. I'm always making it up every week. You ask me all the time, I'll tell you, I don't know. We're just making it up. All of us are. Once you come to that authenticity, once you come to that confidence, then you're in a position, then you're in an emotional and spiritual and psychological position to do something great. We've known for 30 years that there are 10x engineers. We've known that the best people make the biggest difference. There's a power law. Michael Jordan is that much better than the number 10 guy in the NBA. When it comes to startups and when it comes to coding and product design and product building and viral engineering and all the things that you need to have a successful startup, there are 10x, 100x people. We've always wanted to find those people. With AI, it's becoming even more important because those people can now leverage the agent. They can leverage the intelligence of the AI to make themselves 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 times more efficient. So we are increasingly looking for just those decathletes who, when you get 2, 3, or 4 of them together, they can do the work of 50 people. Instead of scaling through people, you want to scale through intelligence. How can I create intelligent agents? And that gets back to what we've talked about before, which is this allometric scaling. Allometric scaling is the heavier something is, the heavier it needs to be to carry the weight. And the lighter something is, the lighter it can be because there's less weight to carry around. You don't want a lot of people. You want as few people as possible who are as smart as possible. They're decathletes. They can build agents. They can do marketing. They can do coding. Blah, blah, blah. And those are going to be the most effective teams going forward now that we have AI. And that's only going to be more true over the next decade, over the next 20 years. Speed is always good. If the management moves too quickly into a cul-de-sac and doesn't have the leadership authority and the ability to then turn around when they're in the wrong spot and keep iterating in some other direction, then yeah, you can get into a disaster if you move too quickly. So when I say speed, I don't mean working 18 hours a day. I mean being smart and getting out of your own way so that things happen quickly. And I also mean speed in the right direction. And figuring out what that right direction is part of what you need to do. And in fact, the speed gets you to new data. I think it was Bill Solomon who said, entrepreneurship is the act of getting to the next information event as cheaply and quickly as possible. So once you get that information event, you might have to turn back and go the other way, going quickly, learning from it, backtracking, going a different direction until they find a place where it is working. People ask about the macro environment. How hard is it to raise? What are interest rates doing? What's happening with the tariffs? I consider all this to be bullshit noise for a tech startup founder. The only thing a tech startup founder should be caring about is where are they in the technology window that they're riding currently. That is what determines great big companies. Not your interest rates, not what Jim Cramer says about which stocks to buy. This is all noise. It's flim flam. It's astrology. It's a waste of time. You have to be riding the technology waves of your time and understand where you are in those. Focus on those. You're either on the technology or you're not. The hardest founder decision I think people have is if things are kind of working, should they pivot? How do I know when it's time to pivot is often the hardest question they have. When you think about pivoting your company, it's painful and hard for a CEO to do that. So you never want to do that. That's a painful path, but you often have to. And so the founders come and they say, when do I know if it's time to pivot or not? That I think is the hardest decision that you make because there are plenty of things that work okay. When do you cut bait if it's kind of working? That I think is the hard. If it's not working, it's pretty easy. You look at the data and there's nothing happening, so you move on. And if it's working really well, it's really easy. You just keep following that path and build in more defensibility over time. But if it's in between, that's, I think, the hardest decision a founder makes. If we look at how our different companies are doing across our portfolio of 200 companies, and we rank them based on how remote their teams are, how distributed their teams are, and how well we think they're doing, there's a incredible strong correlation between how in office they are and together they are and how well they're doing, how fast they're moving. Perfectly correlated. COVID made us had to be remote, but our productivity dropped tremendously. Now, the argument I hear from a lot of the founders is, no, I can hire so much better talent if I don't have to have them in person. I'm like, well, they might be more talented, but you're not getting the benefits of that talent. They're operating at 40% efficiency by being remote. So even if they're 100% awesome person, you're only getting 40% of them. It's going to be better to get somebody who's a 60% person and get like 95% out of them by having them in the office with you. They'll be at a 55% compared to the best person you could hire. So you're actually getting better talent if you have them in the office because you're taking everyone and making them a better player by being around you, by being around your energy, getting the signals, by making decisions together, by committing to each other and then executing quickly.